what is going on, everyone? Today it is December 19th. It's about 10:30 a.m. and Pops and I are out here getting ready to start the part 2 to the 2-part feed experiment that we started conducting in the early part of the year during September. A few things have changed, and one thing I want to give a shout out to all the subscribers we got through that video. About 600 subscribers, a little over 600 subscribers just from that video. So shout out to you guys. We're about to break 1K. Now since then, we got a lot of comments on that last video, and some of them were actually pretty helpful, and they're actually going to kind of change up how we're doing the part 2. Now, one of the biggest things was a lot of viewers was like, man, you've been hunting that property for so long, you've been feeding those deer Big Tine and corn, they're used to it. That's obviously what's gonna take the win. Go to a different place where they've never been fed before. So that's what we're gonna do. We're out here on a new section of the AP property where we built a set. We've never hunted here before, but we built a set to come out and hunt during rut. We got a little tied up during rut and we weren't able to come out here and hunt, but we want to try and hunt it in the late season. So we figured, why not throw out all these attractants and maybe try and pull in some deer, as well as do this experiment. So that's what we're doing. We're out here on a new section of AP property. The deer have probably only been fed corn, and we're gonna throw in some monster meal, Big&J, and Big Tine. And another thing we're now going to be adding, due to the comments, is regular corn. There was all kinds of comments saying, add this, try this feed, do this. Well, locally, this is what I can get, and I also don't want to be traipsing all over and spending a fortune on feeding deer. And that also kind of brings me to this next subject. I should have made this a little more clear in the part 1 to this experiment. I'm not just looking for a feed or an attractant to pull in deer and feed them. I'm also looking for something that my deer are going to benefit from as they feed on this. These feeds right here are higher in protein, and corn has a decent amount of protein as well, so that's why I'm also going to throw this in there, because if they're going after all these feeds just because of the corn, then we're not going to be spending so much. But that's what we're going to find out on this part 2. So without further ado, guys, if you haven't seen the part 1 to the 2-part experiment that we're conducting right now, go check it out. I'm gonna link the video up in the top right corner, so go check it out. But if you have, stay tuned, because we're about to get the feeds out, get the trophy cam up on the tree. We're gonna get this started. So all the feed and attractants are out. We're gonna get the trophy cam up. We're gonna have the trophy cam on video as well. That was another thing in the comments that somebody said, that why don't you record it with video? And we're gonna do that because I think that'd be a cool idea. So what we're going to be doing is just having it out for about 2 to 3 days. And then we'll come back either Thursday or Friday. Today it is Tuesday, and we're gonna come back either Thursday or Friday and see who's the victor. So let's get this trophy cam. What is going on, outdoorsman crew? Today it is December 22nd, and we are out here checking the results for the part 2 of this 2-part feed experiment video. We did one in the beginning of September, and now it is late December, and we're doing it over again. And first glance, we can tell that Monster meal got hit a little bit. Big&J got hit a little bit. Corn got hit pretty freaking hard. But who got hit the most? Yet again, it was Big Tine. Kind of saw it coming, but again, I don't know officially till I go home and see what's on this camera. And obviously when we get back there, we're gonna do what we did for the part 1. We're gonna do a recap, talk about the feed experiment, talk about the purpose of this a little bit, and kind of do a closure as well as show you guys what the camera captured. So stay tuned. We're gonna pull this chip, get back to the house, get out of this rain, and see what happened. Okay, so got the chip uploaded. Let's go in here and check imports and see what we got going on. So first video, we got a couple blank videos. The first section, or the first clip that I've got of actual deer activity is on the 20th at 3:40 in the morning. A couple yearlings pushing through. They don't even touch the food. Then at 4:16, about 35 minutes later, they circle back through, and I'm pretty sure those are yearlings. I could be wrong. They look like button bucks. On the right side, and they're hitting the Big Tine. Both of them just chowing down right there on the Big Tine. So you can already see how this is going. The following night on the 21st, again at 3:50 in the morning, we have a nice little basket rack 8 show up, and on the right side of the camera, right side of the screen, which is where the Big Tine is at. Sits there and feeds for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, boom, another buck shows up to the food source, and that is our buck we call Whiskey. Got pictures of him before, we know who he is. Checking out the monster meal, checks out the Big&J. Doesn't look like he's like really feeding on it. He's just more so like licking and kind of smelling. Oh, and there he is, chowing down, crunching away on a Big Tine. Dang, there's a couple clips of this deer chowing down, and then he kind of steps up, eats a little bit on the corn, and then disappears into the darkness. Okay, and then basket rack 8 shows back up. Monster meal, checks out Big&J. He's not really hanging out very long. Oh, there he goes. Over to the Big Tine. Oh, and look who showed back up. Dang. Whiskey showed back up. Walked away for a little bit and kind of came back. They're sitting over there. He is chowing down on what I think is Big&J. He's not really eating it. Like, both of the deer, I mean, if you look at what he's doing, he's just smelling. He might be licking a little bit, but he's not eating like I thought he would be. Basket rack 8's on the corn for a few minutes, and he walks off into the darkness. We go through a day of no photos. Oh, yearling showed up later that evening at about 4 o'clock, 4:10ish. Yearlings kind of goofing around. Big&J, monster meal. Circle around. Went to the corn. And then Big Mama, one of the does, is on the monster. Is that Big Tine? That's Big Tine all the way to the right. Yep. I'm pretty sure that's a doe. That's a pretty big bodied yearling. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that's a doe. So by 4:30. Some deer feeding on that Big Tine. Okay, by 5:30, Whiskey shows up. Again, checking out that Big&J. Doesn't seem to be a fan. Walks right by it. Hits the corn for a few minutes. Whoa. He didn't even touch the Big Tine that time. Went straight to the corn. Yeah, there's a bunch of deer. Literally all at once, there are 3 different deer with their head down inside the Big Tine. It's crazy. So it looks like up until I went and got the camera tonight, is what it's today, is the 22nd. It looks like from the morning to the afternoon, that group of does and a couple yearlings kind of hung out around the food all day. And the 2 that they hung around for most of the day on was the Big Tine and regular corn. It's pretty cool. And then there's me showing up to the corn, filming the scene. Alrighty, so just like in the part 1 to this experiment, we're going to be doing a little recap. Obviously, we have chosen the winner. It's going to be Big Tine, without a doubt. You know, I noticed that first when I pulled up on the scene, how the mound that we had of Big Tine was flush with the ground. It was flat. It was mowed down more so than any of the other attractants. And then right there next to it was corn. And so I assumed that's what it was. It was Big Tine and corn. And when we got home and looked at the trail camera, that was most certainly what it was. Big Tine ended up taking the win. Corn was right there behind it. I couldn't even pick a winner between Monster Meal and Big&J. And it wasn't like at the Hills property where they mowed it all the way down to the dirt. There wasn't as many deer out here at the AP property, which we chose this spot because we got some feedback in the part 1 to this series. On top of that, we added regular corn due to some feedback that we got from the part 1. And really, I was considering adding it in the part 1, but I changed my mind at the last minute and didn't do it. And then the more I started thinking about it after we got some feedback from you guys, it made sense too, because each of the feeds, Big&J, Monster Meal, and Big Tine, all have corn in them. So my theory behind that was maybe the deer were actually going more so towards the corn than anything, and that's why Big Tine won, because it has more corn than Monster Meal and Big&J. But that wasn't the case. They actually do prefer Big Tine, but then second place was clearly corn, without a doubt. So that was kind of cool to learn. It was kind of just cool to see how the deer reacted to all these feed and attractants and what they preferred, especially through the video. So whoever, I think there was like 2 or 3 people that recommended using video on that trail cam, or it might have been 1. Shout out to you in the part 1, because it actually turned out a lot cooler. And I thought it was awesome to be able to use that content in the video as I'm talking. So I enjoyed doing this experiment. We plan on doing a lot more stuff like this next season, but as we are winding down here in Kentucky and every other state in deer season, we really aren't going to be doing too much more hunting content besides the fact that we're going to make a doe hunt episode. We're going to try and hopefully get my dad or my grandfather tagged out on a buck out here at the AP property, hopefully. But with Tyler and I going to the ATA show in January, it really crunches me for time, because I'm literally 2 weeks away from, 2.5 weeks away from ATA, and that's not much time, but I think we can get it done. I'm just looking to get 2 more does put on the ground, as well as 1 more buck kill, so there is every bit of possibility. And if you haven't seen any of the content from this season, please go check it out. We have had Tyler's dad tag out, we've had my cousin tag out, I've tagged out, Tyler's tagged out, and we've had some pretty sick episodes drop. Give us a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, check us out on social media, and we'll catch you guys later on the next episode of The Outdoors.